with the evil that was in this country?
Well, right now we're in danger of being overrun by banana republics.
I got you. 100% agree with you, Tony. Thank you. God bless. I got another call. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Caller, I'll tell you what, I'll take your call and then I'll do a commercial break. Go ahead. You're on the air.
I forgot to tell you that tomorrow at the Burley Senior Center, in celebration of St. Patrick's Day, we're having corned beef and cabbage and all the trimmings, and we welcome everybody to come and help celebrate with us.
Hey, Joe, you can't celebrate St. Patrick's Day without doing one thing. I want you to have one of your helpers or whatever go out and get a big rock, and I want you to put it on the table, the head table, and everybody's got to go by and kiss the Blarney Stone tomorrow.
I'll see if we can find the Blarney Stone.
Okay.
I think it's all Blarney, all right.
Bye, Joe.
See you, bye.
All right, take care. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. My wife and I have talked about this a lot. We really have. That in a lawless society, and it's getting worse all the time, you've got illegal aliens that have been deported 8, 9, 10 times, and they're committing crimes, and they're breaking in the homes and holding people hostage and beating them up and even killing them. You've got the crime rate soaring for people that are wanting things without working, and they're taking, regardless of who they hurt. And to think that the government would say, well, we're going to make this country safe. We're going to take away your guns. We're going to have complete gun confiscation. No, you will not. I think at that juncture, it would even be senseless for me to get on the radio and say, protect yourselves and protect your family, and protect your property. Because I think, honestly, people that care would be sitting in their homes, loaded, locked, and ready. I don't think they're going to let the sleaze in our society take over. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget the Bennett Boys Auction Service. They're going to have a ripping good sale this Saturday. The Dutch and LaDonna Wilkins Estate Auction. It's going to be over in Bliss, located at 837 U.S. Highway 26 on Saturday, starting at 11 o'clock. Oh, they've got tractors. They've got pickups, they've got cars, farm equipment, they've got Massey Ferguson swathers, and they've got a Massey 180 diesel tractor, they've got trailers, they've got everything over there, so please don't forget this sale. Coming up this Saturday over in Bliss, easy to find, look for the signs, Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, yep, they sell them all. Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. You know, as it with guns, when guns are outlawed or confiscated, only outlaws in government and crooks are going to have guns. You know, that's it, because they're still, the bad people are always going to have guns, regardless of all of it. But you look at all these refugees, I've talked to some of them from different countries, and they've all been disarmed. And then after that, it was all over.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what the socialist liberals in this country, they know that. I mean, it's historical that once you're disarmed, you know, I go back to history to the Hungarian freedom fighters. We were supposedly sending them real weapons, and we ended up sending them flour. I mean, it was a total betrayal by our State Department. That. In any way, so I you know, we just have to really be vigilant, and thank God that we have the Bill of Rights. But along with that, George Mason, one of the founders from Virginia, he was the one that pushed for the Bill of Rights. But he also said something very dramatic, and it certainly applies today with all of the wild weather and everything happening around the country. He said, if this country stopped worshiping Jesus Christ as the Lord of the land, then Providence, meaning God, would punish us with natural calamities.
Absolutely.
You know, you got fires, floods, you got everything going on, and we kill live babies that are born now God can't be very happy with us as a people.
I totally agree with everything you said, Adrian, and I appreciate your call. And we've got to remain vigilant, because I'll tell you what's going to happen. That if the Democrats and their party platform of it's not progressive, I don't know how in the world people can sit there with a straight face on any newscast and call the Pelosi's and the Cortezes and everything progressives. They are the most regressive. They are the most backward group of people that want to put us back almost to caveman tactics of sitting in a cave burning buffalo dung. They don't want the public to have or do anything. Where in the world they come up with the terminology progressives is beyond me.
It's regressive, and of course socialism has never worked. But they keep saying, "Well, we've never really tried it, and like it should be." Yeah, over 100 million people were killed last century by Mao and Stalin, Lenin, and Hitler. You know, and they all had some form of socialism and control over the people. The people were all disarmed, getting back to the gun control.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Wait a minute, Adrian, listen to me.
Bring us down to third world status.
Here, wait a minute, Adrian. Let me jump in and say something. Until, and I'm going to make demands on this, and I think you should too, and I know you have in the past. We have to make demands that our school systems start teaching the respect of this country, and, of course, socialism is bad, capitalism is good. We've got to tell about the greatness of this country and how this country was formed with our forefathers, and really get back to the basics, because I think once we get back to the basics and start teaching and preaching about the value of this, the greatest country ever on the face of the earth, then there's a hope and there's a prayer that we can withstand all this backward pressure. If we don't do that and not start in the schools, we're done.
Yeah, well, that's a real problem, and I brought this up at the town hall meeting a couple Saturdays ago, and they had 3 different districts. We had 8 of the 9 senators and representatives there, and that was what I brought up. I said, we spend all this money on education, and all we're training is good little green socialists.
Yeah.
And I've got a college professor, a friend of mine, that teaches civics. These freshmen are coming out of Idaho schools. They all feel socialism's the wave of the future. And then he points out the fallacies, but they're not learning history. And like you say, Zeb, we need to get back to the Constitution and the standards of our founding fathers, the fact that the Supreme Court ruled emphatically that we're a Christian nation, and now we could teach Islam in school, but we can't teach about Jesus or the Bible.
I agree with you. Adrian, I always look forward to your call. Thank you very, very much. You have a wonderful day. Thank you.
One more comment quick. We got to stop this U.S., Mexican, Canadian. This thing is NAFTA plus Trans-Pacific Partnership combined. It's got the same wording. It's unbelievable. We need to contact, or not our elected official, but contact Trump. I don't think he's read it. It's worse than NAFTA, and I was against NAFTA big time, and we need to stop this thing because it's really bad.
I agree with you, and I'm going to try to get more into that next week. Adrian, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
thank you.
Bye now.
Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to say this. I've taken a little heat the last couple of weeks regarding my stance on vaccinations and immunizations in the school systems, my demand that children not be allowed to be in the schools unless they are vaccinated. I'm going to stand behind that. Very simple statement. You're not vaccinated, you don't go to school. That's the way I feel. Right now, and facts are facts, this will be the worst year for measles outbreak in 26 years. Absolutely ridiculous. And when you hear news stories, and we've carried those news stories, about more numbers of parents opting out of vaccination programs for their children, it just sickens me to think that those people, those parents, and I use that term loosely, are subjecting others to danger and disease and even possibly death. This is so selfish and so uneducated and so arrogant, it just makes me fighting mad. I can't imagine the arrogancy of these parents risking the health of not only their children, but also others. And we're going to do a great big series of these vaccination programs in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to have doctors on the air, etc. But parents, you do not know. You have no idea what kind of a time bomb you're playing with by not getting your children vaccinated. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to remind you, too, about Berry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts. And they've got 3 locations serving you. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and the Nampa location. And they are looking to hire an additional technician at the Burley location. And I urge you to call Juan over there at 678-7368. You better believe it. You'll have a very interesting job working with a lot of different types of equipment and great people to work for, too. Berry Equipment and Rental, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and the Nampa location. You stop in and see them today. I don't want people to just all of a sudden sit there and not say anything. I'm afraid my neighbor might hear me on the phone or the radio. You got to speak out. And I'm going to use this as my pet project, if you will, as a greasy wheel against the parents and the people that are not vaccinating their children. I get so upset I can't hardly talk. This is something that is passionate for me. I had Michael Dougherty on the program yesterday, and we were talking about vaccinations. And he literally, on the air, you could just see him scratching his head, figuring out why in the world people, parents, are being so lax in their commitment to taking care of their children. They're not getting them vaccinated for these heinous diseases. Measles, worst in 26 years. Diseases coming across the border. Polio in a various form is already coming back, and the press and the public have been subdued in some of their knowledge about this. I think there's been over 200 cases show up across our country. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Indiana, other states. And I, for one, don't want anyone, any child, to go through what I went through. Because at that time, the vaccines had not yet been perfected. And this arrogance and selfish and uneducated mentality of parents today is pathetic. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
That should be reason enough to build a wall from sea to sea across the southern border.
I can't agree more.
Because of the diseases coming in of the people that are unchecked.
Yep.
When Ellis Island was operating and all these immigrants were coming in legally, they were checked, and they were checked, and the ones that didn't pass got sent back. I mean, you cannot just let them come in willy-nilly and expect any order or civility on this side.
Doug, I want to ask you a question and put yourself in my place. I think you and your wife, you know Deanna and I fairly well. I was confronted by a lady that walked up to me and said, well, what do you know about vaccinations? You know, that question had to be one of the dumbest questions that's ever been asked of me in my life. I'm standing there on crutches because I had polio as a young man at 5 years of age, prior to the Salk vaccine being perfected. And I went through hell like most people that suffered that disease. And for someone to arrogantly be stupid and walk up to me and say, what do I know about vaccinations? I'll tell you about the hell. I'll tell you about laying in bed. I'll tell you about the surgeries. I'll tell you about the recouping. I'll tell you about the loneliness and all the hours of wondering whether you'd ever lead somewhat of a normal life. And these arrogant parents that are so selfish and absolutely uneducated, they sicken me.
Exactly. I cannot believe someone had the gall to ask you that. That tells me right there, this person has no functioning brain cells.
It was very difficult to hold my temper.
Not you.
Oh, yeah.
And then on this Ocasio-Cortez, her drilling of the CEO of Wells Fargo?
Yeah, Jim Dunn of Wells Fargo really, and I got to give him credit. When he was grilled by Cortez and she asked these stupid questions and made those stupid statements, you got to give the man credit because he could have just raised his eyebrows and looked at her like, what kind of a stupid child are you?
He could have just started laughing out loud.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? You're asking me this question in that way?
And making statements that were so far out in left field that if you wanted to see the game, you had to buy popcorn.
Yeah, and all the leaks in the XL pipeline.
Oh, yeah.
Which has not even been completed or done.
Yeah.
And it is not operating.
Well,
I mean, this gal, my grandson of 16 years old, could debate her and hand her, just defeat her up one side down.
Yeah, but you know something you just said, and I'm way late on my weather, as you can tell by looking at your clock. But that you bring up a really good point, an excellent point. I would love to have her on this program. I know many others would like to have her on the programs and visit with her and just pin her down and show her stupidity. But you know what? Crickets. Crickets. You know why? Because when she's asked a question, she opens doors and closes them and walks away.
Well, and also, when she tries to answer a question, all she throws out is garbage.
Yeah.
She does not answer a question intelligently.
Well, Doug, I tell you what, and I'll maintain this, and you can give me a quick, short response, but if we don't stand up against this frivolous stupidity that's going on in this country, we deserve what we get.
Exactly. For evil to succeed, good has to do nothing.
There you go. You better give us our spiel quick about the seniors, because I am really late.
I noticed that. Anyway, everybody, let's do what we can for senior centers. Let's support them. Go eat lunch there. If you want to have an enlightening experience, go sit down and have lunch with a senior. You will really enjoy it.
I appreciate you, buddy. I mean that. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to get the weather on here. I just looked at this clock, and it's going tick, 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 tick. You better hurry. Okay, weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they're right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and they have 3 great professional audiologists that can help you with your hearing health. As I've said, it might be being overweight. It might be because of diabetes. It might be because of heart problems. There could be any one of a number of problems that are causing your hearing loss. I urge you to call them and make an appointment, 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. You get a hold of them today. And now, here's the weather.
Nice spring-like weather for today, and it looks like for the rest of the week and on into the weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Sunny skies is what we're expecting for today. Slightly breezy, winds out of the west at about 8 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 39. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 23. Tomorrow, as we get ready for the weekend, sunny skies, expecting a high of 44. Nice and clear for tomorrow night with a low of 26. By Saturday, sunny and 50, and as we take a sneak peek towards the beginning of the week on Monday, sunny skies, high close to 56. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, thank you very much. And don't forget, brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And again, make an appointment today. They can and they will help you with your hearing loss. Number to call, 312-0957. Caller, thank you. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, I just wanted to bring up the fact that this AOC is nothing but a puppet. She's a puppet for a small group of people, and they tell her exactly what to say because they're the ones that financed her. They're the ones that got her in there.
You know, sir, I'm going to say something, and I want you to respond because I think you're spot on. Number one, they found a woman, a young woman, a millennial that absolutely knew nothing about what's going on in the world or how the world operates, and they totally transformed her into being, like you said, her puppet. In today's age where it's hate white men or hate men in general and women being pushed to the forefront, she is exactly what the left wanted, and she is doing their job very well.
Yes. They represent socialism to the max, and they're using her to push their agenda. Yeah.
You know, I'm going to ask you something, if you don't mind. How old are you?
63.
Okay, well, I'm still a lot older than you are. But how would you like, in the remaining years of your life, to be governed by someone that has her issues and policies to destroy and take over the United States?
No, thank you. I mean, we're lucky, and I say that. Well, maybe it's not lucky. We're blessed to have Trump today. I hope we have him longer than shorter. But yeah, after he's gone. Look out.
You know, and you and I share the same attitude. I mean, if he does not make the 2020 election, I agree with you. All bets are off. Look out. Thank you, sir. God bless you, and I mean that, and have a great day.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, all bets are off. I mean, I listen to these. I got to watch my mouth. I'm going to back up. I listen to these people like Beto O'Rourke and Kamala Harris, and Cortez, and Gillibrand, and Cory Booker, who I think is absolutely nothing more than a theatrical kook. And you got to wonder and say to yourself, whoa, my forefathers, your forefathers, lived, worked, and died for this garbage that is coming onto the scene trying to take over the United States? God help us. I want to remind you about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations right now celebrating a great big spring tire sale. You can save a lot of money and know that you're going to get the best of tires for safe driving. I mean, tires like the Ultra Z900 on sale. I mean, they've got a 65 to 80,000 mile warranty, mud and snow designation, and then, of course, for your pickups and SUVs, the Open Country HT. Whoa, you better get in there today for this great big spring tire sale. All 7 locations, and then, of course, also the best in brake service and front end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries. But above all, service, man, they come at a high low. They come out the door at a high low. May we help you? Absolutely. At all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert and Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. It's so good to have the power back on. And not have to sit here with a flashlight. I tell you what. Next hour, of course, the Chamber Report. We've got Lyden Crane coming on the program to give us that Chamber Report. And then we're going to talk to Jeff over at Lee's Furniture. Rita's coming over to the program at 9:30. Later on this morning at 10:30, we have got David Horowitz. You've heard him and seen him on television nationally and everything. We're going to talk about his book that I really am anxious to hear about, Dark Agenda. The War to Destroy Christian America. That's at 10:30. Don't you miss it. Right now, Wheels, old buddy, sitting over there. Take it away. Oh my, here we go, back into hour number 2. Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations right now with the great big spring tire sale. Stop in and see them today. Along with some of our great advertisers, including Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. We're going to have our guest with us from the Chamber in just a moment, but stand by. Want to remind you of some folks that have expanded their business to better serve you, doing jobs that you and I don't want to do. How about Dino's Septic Service? Absolutely. Septic tank pumping and liquid waste removal and the sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, the backhoe services, the water and sewer lines installed. Wow. They do a phenomenal job. And I'll tell you what, they've expanded, like I said a moment ago, to better serve more people. Great folks. Dino's Septic Service. Call them today at 436-6526 or 678-1638. They're great folks, and with the warmer weather coming, be sure to get your septic tanks pumped out and ready for the summer months. Dino's Septic Service, serving you. Don't forget, too, our friends at Hanson Mortuary. Hello, Joel Heward, and I got to call him later on today. And, of course, his family and staff serving you at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. As I've said so many times, it is such a difficult time when there's the passing of a loved one, and they are there to help. From Hanson Mortuary. Always, they want to meet your expectations and exceed what needs to be done. They want to be very helpful for you. Always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, and Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Well, for heaven's sakes, 2 weeks, in a row from Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. I'm surprised they let him off work. He must be one of the owners. And here's Lyden Crane with our Mini-Cassia Chamber report. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you?
Oh, if I was any better, I couldn't stand it. What are you doing? 2 weeks in a row you were selected to do this.
Well, I'm working while I'm talking here. There's no getting off of work this time of the year.
You know, I can't imagine what it's like in your office. I mean, with the calculator on your right side and your phone on your left, and you're sitting there with all the tax papers in the middle. Wow, you're a busy man right now.
Yeah, it's a busy time of the year, but this is what we get ready for all year, and kind of harvest time. So as much as we don't look forward to it, we do look forward to it, and it's kind of fun at times. So,
well, you put in a lot of hours, and there are some clients that put off all their taxes, ho-hum, tisk-tisk, I wonder who I'm talking about, and it makes your job a little tougher.
Yeah, but it's... Well, we can't do them all at once, though, so if we can get everybody in a good flow, it makes everything a little easier in our lives, too. So we've got plenty going on here. We'll be busy for the next month for sure, and, you know, even get a few extensions to wrap up in April and May, and it's looking like we'll make it through, and just even with the new tax laws, it's coming along.
What do you do? Just kind of take your wife and kids into a room and say, Daddy's going to be gone for a while. It's tax season, and just wave goodbye and give the kids a candy bar?
Well, we're not nice enough to give them a candy bar, but a chore list might be more like it.
Okay.
They have to step up and help me a lot. But we find little ways to do things, and, you know, my wife and I play in a little volleyball league, and, you know, once a week we take 15, 20 minutes and go down to our church here and play some volleyball, and we find ways to stay active.
Well, listen, talking about staying active, there's a lot to do here in Magic Valley, especially in the Mini-Cassia area. Tell us what's going on at the Chamber.
Certainly. So the next 3 days are going to be pretty busy for us down at the Chamber. Today is our monthly Chamber luncheon, and it's going to be held at Young Automotive here in Burley from noon to 1 o'clock. Always a good time, and They have good food, so we'll want to invite everybody to come down to that. Today we're going to be hearing a presentation about an effort that's being made here in the Mini-Cassia area called Julie's Clothes for Kids. And there's going to be a presentation on what the program is going to do. They're looking to get clothing to help local school children who might need some help that way. And I'm trying to make it out of there to go see that today and see if there's a way we can help that program. So, and then tomorrow on March 15th from 3 to 7 p.m., the Chamber is having the ribbon cutting for Turnkey Realty, which is here on Overland Avenue in Burley. The ribbon cutting is going to be at 4:30 p.m. sharp, and Juan Silva and his great group of people down there are going to be having an open house, like I say. You can go down there and talk to them, and especially if you're interested in selling property. So that's the Chamber for the next 2 days, and then this Saturday, there's an event that we have on our calendar that we wanted to inform everybody about. The Cassia County Sheriff's Office, in connection with the Idaho Department of Parks and Recreation, is sponsoring a Idaho boating safety class. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be for 6 hours at Idaho Water Sports here in Burley. And, the weather's warming up. I don't know if you felt it this week, Zeb, but before we know it, we're going to be wanting to get out on the water again. And there's...
For some reason, I'm going to interrupt you right there. For some reason, about 48 hours ago, when I was snugged with a Carhartt, a vest, and a sweatshirt with a hood on it, I did not think about water sports.
Well, I do the Spudman every year, and I have a lot of friends that invite me to go out and, go fishing, go boating on the river during the summer. And I'm as much as I've got to finish up tax season here, I'm starting to think about it. It's creeping into the back of my mind. And the Sheriff's Office and the Department of Parks and Recreation, they're trying to help those out like me who might not understand boats that well and but might want to own one someday. They're going to talk about the different laws and the requirements to get the boat legal, and as well as some safety tips for staying safe while you're out on the water.
Absolutely.
And, so if you're interested in taking that class, you can call Sergeant Taylor with the Cassia County Sheriff's Office at 878-9358, or Andrea at Idaho Water Sports, and that's 678-5869. And they will help you get registered for that. And to boot, there's going to be a $50 gift certificate for everybody who comes and participates from Idaho Water Sports.
Wow.
Yeah, great way to grab something that you need for your boat.
All right, well, listen, I got about maybe 2 minutes left. What else is on your list of must-say, must-do at the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce?
I'm going to put a plug in for our leadership class really quick, and this is something that won't be coming up until September. But I took that class a couple of years ago, and I recommend it for anybody who's just getting started here, wants to understand how the economics and the businesses work here in the Mini-Cassia area. It was an 8-month class, but you went to class once a month, and the Chamber took us to visit it was more than 8, but they took us on 8 field trips to visit different businesses here in the area, and I made a lot of great friends in that class. I still associate with them, some of them on a daily basis, and it was just a great opportunity. It's one of those things that the Chamber does for us.
All righty. Well, you are a great cheerleader for the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce, and like I always say at the end of our little segment, there must be 8,397 ways people can get a hold of the Chamber.
Yes, there are. There's a lot of members here in the area. You can certainly contact them. And if you do have any questions or need some information about the area, you can reach the Chamber at 208-697-4793. And Lorena is down there. She'll be happy to take your call and help you with whatever you need.
Wait a minute. I hate to correct you, my dear friend, but it's not 697. It would be 679.
679. Yeah, I see what happens when you deal with numbers all day. You start mixing things up.
Oh, Leiden, I think you're a great guy. Listen, we're going to tell everybody we got a great Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce, and they can call 679-4793 for information. Leiden, you did a great job. Pick up that pencil, put your glasses back on, and get to work.
Sounds good. Thanks, Zeb. We'll talk to you later.
All right, take care. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, let's also tell you about what's happening at our friends at Let's Ride. Oh, my goodness, they are busy. Yeah, as a matter of fact, the other day, Deanna and I took our 2 4-wheelers over there to get them serviced, old Tyson and the crew over there in their service department. They don't get enough credit for what they do. They keep everything running, and they're really polite, nice people that know their business at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And along with all that, if you've never had a 4-wheeler before, what a great selection for you over in the showroom. Just walk in and go, holy moly! And if you do have 4-wheelers, like I mentioned a moment ago, it's time to get them serviced for this spring and summer. And I urge you to stop over and talk to the people that really can help you. And that's Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. Oh, I'm on the telephone right now with an old friend of ours over at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. And here he...
Get him on, sir.
Pardon me?
I was just saying I was still trying to get him on.
All right, well, you hurry and get that task completed, Wheels, old buddy. We're waiting for Jeff of Lee's Furniture to get on the phone with us in just a moment, so stand by for that. And I got to get this on, or the bingo-ers are going to come after me. Why, they're really powerful. All the bingo-ers, they're going to be over at the Minidoka County Senior Center tomorrow night, Friday night, starting at 5:30. The doors open, and the hordes of people will be going through, carrying all their bingo paraphernalia. And then the games start, I believe, at 6:45. So celebrate and have a lot of fun playing bingo, I-24, or whatever. They're going to have some of the early bird games start, like I said, at 6:45, with all the games starting at 7 p.m. at the Rupert Senior Center. There you go. Wheels, do we have him?
Yes, sir, we do.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's give the fanfare and a tribute to Jeff over at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. Good morning.
Well, good morning, Zeb. How are you doing today?
Well, working hard, and originally this morning when we started, we had to work in the dark. There was no power.
Well, we've got power here, but, on the I don't know if I do, but the store does.
Okay. What's happening in your world this morning?
I was actually quite anticipating your phone call this morning, Zeb, and I'm grateful to have you on the phone. We have something interesting happening here at the store, and anyway, and it causes me to think. Anyway, long short is today we celebrate here at Lee Furniture our 74th anniversary.
74th?
Yeah,
I didn't know you were that old, Jeff.
I've been here for almost 30 years. But,
oh my!
I was thinking, Zeb. I'm from this area. I went to school at Tedeclo, and Renee's from here. She went to school in Minico, and having grown up in this area, I've seen, like anybody else, some businesses come and go. But, I was thinking the other day, and I just don't know really that there's that many businesses around that can say that they've been in business for 74 years, and to be a part of that, to be from this area, and to be a part of that is really, quite an honor, if I may say so.
Jeff, that's a very interesting point that you brought up, and I'm going to put together a little force to find out the oldest, longest-running businesses in this area. And I'm like you, I think 74 years, whoa, that's got to be right at the top of the pile.
Yeah, I've thought about that, and I really don't know that I can think of many that that can lay claim to that. So anyway, so tonight we do have a special event, and that is this: we are closed today, this afternoon, until 4 p.m., and then we'll be open between 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. tonight. And we have priced all of the furniture, mattresses, everything in our furniture department, 40 to 50% off.
Wow.
And that'll be for 4 hours tonight. So we've got some exclusive pricing for all of our customers who would like to come in and join us tonight.
And you know, it's kind of a celebration, and they can walk in and just absolutely save a lot of money. I understand that you got huge percentages off on almost everything.
Yeah, in fact, in addition to that, we have all of our mattresses. We've basically emptied our warehouse. We've taken all of our closeout or previous year style mattresses, and in most cases, it's just simply that they've changed the fabric on them, Zeb. But most all of these mattresses are between 50 to 70% off.
Wow.
And so we've priced them just for quick sale. We want them gone. We're bringing in the new models. And so, it's really a great opportunity. And adjustable queen mattress, mattresses with adjustable bases for $699.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Well, it's all there at 459 Overland and Burley, and they're having a great big 74th anniversary sale. And what are you going to do? You're just going to stand at the door, and at 4 o'clock this afternoon, you're going to open the door and stand out of the way and say, "Come on in!"
Actually, there's a lot of truth to that. When people come in and see all the specials on recliners, sofas, sectionals, everything, great savings. So come join us. We'll have refreshments, and we'll be open late for those people that want to come in after work.
Oh, hey, how's the family, by the way, after basketball and football season?
I'm almost ready for a break. It's hard to keep up with these kids when they participate in these school events, but, we do our best.
I got to compliment you. I didn't get to all the games I wanted to watch my grandson, but you were there. Man, I'll tell you what, you're a good dad. I'm proud of you.
Well, I certainly can't keep up with these kids, but I can certainly enjoy watching them. And I saw you at a lot of games, and so I know you do your very best to make it to as many of those activities as possible. And it's got to be quite an honor to watch your grandsons play. They're both tremendous athletes.
Well, they did. The whole team did really well. Kimberly is where they go to school, and your boy does too. And they ended up third in the state, which is very admirable. But I'll tell you what, your boy, I got to tell you, he is a human water bug. That guy can scoot.
Well, it's fun to watch him, and so we enjoy that. But watching your boys play, too, all of those boys deserve credit for hard effort. And, all these athletes around in these local schools work hard and, put a lot of effort into it, and it's fun to see when all of them excel. So
all right.
It's not just Kimberly, but it's each of the schools, and as you and I both know.
You better believe it. Jeff over at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More, 459 Overland and Burley, and a great big anniversary sale this afternoon. Set your alarm. 4 o'clock. Be there, Jeff. Look out. Have a good day.
Thank you, Zeb. You take care now.
All right. Thank you. Really nice people and great staff over there with their big anniversary sale. I'm going to do that. If anybody has a list or some kind of a deal that I could use on the radio, the oldest, most established, longest-running companies or businesses in this area. Now, 74 years, and I know that, Ramsey's have been in business well over 6 decades. And I'd like to know that. We're going to start paying tribute to those businesses and get them on the air. That's a great deal. All right, let's talk a little bit about Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, when you think about life insurance and health insurance and retirement planning and employee benefits, it kind of boggles the mind. And why don't you just talk to the professionals? Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert with the number 436-4424. They are very dedicated, very accessible to serving you. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Did you have a chance to see last night? There was a gentleman on television, and I forgot his name. I should be punished for that. I forgot his name. A black businessman and a highly respected author and teacher last night was on television, and he was on Tucker. And they were talking to him about the blacks around the United States, that they should stop their whining, stop their begging and complaining, and pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. This is this gentleman talking, this black businessman. He said to them, You can succeed if you will try and stop taking handouts. And then he was also asked about Elizabeth Warren and other Democrats trying to play up to certain races, and she said that she would be in favor of paying reparations. And he said, no, there shouldn't be any reparations paid. He said, absolutely not. Here's a guy that I really want to follow, and I'm going to find out his name, and I'm going to do the very best I can to get him on my program. But he said anybody, regardless of race, color, or creed, can be a success if they'll just kind of bow their neck and do the work necessary to succeed. Amen. Underline it. Amen. Thank you for somebody that finally speaks it the way it should be. I want to remind you, too, about, don't forget, today, later on, we've got Cassia County School Days. And also, I want to remind you about the Bennett boys. Yeah, that's what I was looking for a minute ago, and I couldn't see it. Here it is, right in front of me. Bennett Boys Auction Service is going to have a big sale this Saturday over at Bliss, 837 U.S. Highway 26. From Ziggy's gas station, go east 1 mile, and it's right off the highway. You can't miss it. And they're going to have tractors and pickups and cars and all kinds of things, trailers and lots of farm equipment. And there's going to be other family consignments of horse trailers, etc. Please don't forget this. Coming up at 11 o'clock this Saturday in Bliss, Idaho. Don't miss it. Dutch and LaDonna Wilkins Estate Auction, managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. There is no sale too big. There is no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, yup, they sell them all. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning. Did you see also on the bottom of the screen, it mentioned what about reparation for the families who fought and died to free the slaves?
Yeah. You know, this is endless. If we get into a reparations program, be it for the blacks or the Indians or whomever, it's an endless supply of trivia as to who qualifies and who doesn't, and it's absolutely senseless.
Well, we're already doing it for the American Indians.
Yeah.
And look what it's done to most of the tribes.
It has been a destruction. I'm going to say this. Maybe you won't agree. But it's been a destruction of pride and responsibility.
Exactly. When something's given to you, you don't appreciate it. When you work for it, you appreciate it.
That's right.
Drive between Flagstaff, Arizona, and, Page?
I have many times.
And that area, you drive through there, it's a beautiful area. But it's so depressing to drive through it.
Yeah.
Looking at the shacks, but the brand new cars are sitting there just one after the other.
You know, you bring to mind that I think it would be good for me, with all of the contacts that I've got down in that area of Indian representation from the various tribes and everything, people that have really done something for themselves. I think I'm going to try to start scheduling some of these programs, whether they're black, Indian, Hispanic, whatever, of people that have said enough. And they pulled themselves up by their own bootstraps, and they are successful.
Yes, just like that man yesterday on Tucker.
What was his name, Doug? Help me quick. I couldn't remember his name.
I can't either, but he was a very smart man and very articulate.
And you know that everything I said about what he said was absolutely spot on. He was asked these questions, and he said it's about high time they started pulling themselves up by their own bootstraps and quit whining and complaining. And when asked about reparations, he said absolutely not.
Exactly. So anyway, you got to run.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. On the other line is a beautiful lady that has a lot of thoughts about politics. Good morning, Rita Ramsey. How are you?
I've honestly not had her call in yet.
Oh, forsooth. Really? How much you want to bet? That before you and I end our little conversation here, there will be a jingle jangle of the telephone in the background, and I'll give you a countdown, and I'll bet you she'll be there. 5, 4, 3.
Well, you're lucky because she's already called in, so bets are off.
All right, there you go. Thank you. Good morning, Rita. How are you? She's not there.
Good morning.
Ah, you were hiding on me. I see. How is Rita this morning?
I'm real good.
Okay, well, I guess maybe I should start asking you about, the lovely little girl that so many people are so proud of in this country because she's the new face of politics and she's going to get everybody on the right page. Golly, aren't you excited about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez?
Well, around my place, we've just learned to call her AOC because we get tongue-tied when we say her whole name. But I have mentioned this to several people. I think that if she was half smart, she'd be fearing for her life.
You know, I never thought of it that way, really, but she is putting a boat in the water that could sink very easily. And I agree with you, being a puppet of powerful people and perpetrating all of these endless hatreds against, whether it's Wells Fargo or whether it's against energy companies or whether it's against the American taxpayer. I don't think there's a whole lot of people that are going to send her a birthday card.
I don't think so, and I think that the more people are threatened, the ones who are more threatened than anyone else, I mean, you have just like the guy at Wells Fargo, when she was questioning him and trying to, put him out on a ledge where he should be. He kind of knocked her back down to where she belongs. But I think the people in the Democratic Party who have been there a while are the ones that she probably needs to watch out for.
Let me talk to you a little bit about Tim Dunn of Wells Fargo. I am not siding with any banker or any CEO of any financial institution, but I am saying that what she did to him in that hearing and the accusations that she threw out against Wells Fargo Bank that were so far out in left field, it was absolutely asinine and ridiculous. I honestly think the speaker that was in charge of that meeting should have slammed the gavel down and said, Ms. Cortez, you are completely out of order.
Well, that's just it. It seems like they're half afraid to do that because I think they're measuring what they do instead of just doing what needs to be done and saying, hey, you know what, we have a process here, and this is what we need to do. And if you violate it, you're going to be on a we'll wait and see how good you do later before we let you do anything else kind of basis. The thing of it is she's asking questions just like, okay, so why was the bank involved in caging children and financing caging of children at the border? Well, does she know where that started? That didn't start with Trump.
No.
And they're not cages anyway.
No, that's one terminology that I won't allow on the show because it's absolutely a misnomer. Many of the people that have seen these as just little partitions, they're nothing more than high-class playgrounds, quite frankly. And to call them cages, that's a complete misnomer, and it's a slander against what's really there.
Well, you never heard him saying that word when Obama had them in there, and they were basically to keep the children safe.
That's right.
So that they were safe, and they, I guess you can say that you cage somebody if you put them in their room. I mean, these were not bedrooms by any means, but they were safe areas for those children, and they were supervised and watched over. And there were numerous organizations that took humanitarian needs and some toys and clothes down to those kids. Those kids were taken care of the way and the only way that they really could in the circumstance that they were in. So for her to bring it up acting like, Donald Trump just put all those kids into cages is just absolutely ridiculous.
Rita,
I think the worst thing is that you've got the Democrat hierarchy saying, how are we going to get her to shut up and just get her off of the front page and still hold our base because she holds a lot of the people that we want to vote for us.
Let me ask you a question, Rita, that a lot of people in the radio business and television business don't have the backbone to ask, but I'm going to because I'm an old man that absolutely thinks that we should be more honest in this country. Why, in your opinion, are our senators and congressmen nationwide so absolutely afraid, and underline that word afraid, to come out and speak exactly what's going on with Cortez and the Muslim congresswomen that have absolutely caused more disruption back there in Congress than any two people could over a short period of time of being in office? Why are they afraid of them? Why don't they speak out? Why are they not being reprimanded?
Well, the first thing that will come out, if they did do something or say something and were outspoken, they'd be called racist. And so it might be a senator from a red state, and all of a sudden he's labeled a racist, and there goes the whole thing. And I think that's the main thing, is because, you know, when somebody calls you a racist, it's kind of like, okay, I'll just shut up and let them go. And because that is such a hot potato that people want to just totally distance themselves, and I think that's what you know, one of the main things is that they're going to be called racist. But I think also that they know that those young women have a following, or they wouldn't be in Congress. And because they're young, this is the opportunity we have to pick up young people to bring into our party, and you know, however we can get them, we will. I was hearing a report and a thing this morning on the backgrounds of these two ladies from Minnesota and Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody needs to look into their whereabouts and who is their support. The
Absolutely.
Muslim Brotherhood is totally behind them, and they are just trying to burrow in further and get further into America. And they hate America to begin with, and it's really, really sad, but their true colors need to be brought out and shown to Americans what can happen when you get these people into power, and it's going to be pretty nasty and pretty ugly, and it's going to be hard to get them out.
Well, Rita, you and your family, of course, know very well what I went through back in the early 2000s before the Obama election. And I had the Democrats in this state, all over the United States, calling me a racist and everything. But the problem with the Democratic Party was that they didn't think I'd fight back. And I did fight back. And another problem with the Democrats is they didn't do their homework, which it's easy for them to shoot their great big shotgun mouth off, being operated by a BB gun brain. And they came after me, but they failed to realize that at that same time when I was against Obama because of his ideology, I was supporting Condoleezza Rice. Now, the last time I looked, she is also a black lady.
Well, this is what happens. A lot of people speak before they actually really know what they're talking about. Just like, I don't know whether you heard it or not, but David Webb was having a conversation with a lady who was talking about white privilege.
Yes.
And you have white privilege and da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
At the end of her rant, he said, obviously you haven't done your homework because I'm a black man. And it was kind of like, oh, shoot.
It wasn't just that, Rita Ramsey, and you know that.
But, you know, they won't do their homework, and it drops back to the same thing that I've been advocating for years, and that is that knowledge brings you power. And when you start spouting off or making all kinds of declarations and different things like that, and you don't know the history or you don't really know the facts, it makes you look like a real dummy in the end, because all of a sudden you're slapped down, and it's kind of like, well, you really are a dummy because you didn't check into anything.
You know,
these ladies have violated many things. You know, their campaign fundraising things have been awry, and various different things, and now they're speaking at meetings trying to raise money for CARE, and the CARE people are totally hate the United States of America, and they're the ones who are trying to get the Muslims in here for the rest of their caliphate.
Absolutely. Rita, another question that comes up, and you and I have talked about this so many times, is the cowardice. The absolute chicken attitude to do anything, to band together and stand up and pull power plays to really administer some of the things they want to do while they're in office. The Republicans are a bunch of wimps. They're not doing their job. Do you disagree with me?
Oh, no, absolutely. And the first one is the border. I'm sure that you probably heard it and read it, but I kind of wanted to highlight on it that the the local unions of ICE sent more or less a letter to President Trump saying, you know what, you've said that this is the kind of things that we were going to do, and nothing's happening here, and it is getting bad.
Yep.
They said, we regretfully write to inform you that in the midst of an immigration crisis on the southern border, your administration is squandering scarce ICE resources and playing political games with our officers, their mission, and the safety of the American public. And you frequently speak of the great public safety work ICE is doing under your leadership, but to be direct, Mr. President, the rhetoric doesn't much match reality, and we hope that this letter shows you the complete and total nonsense that is really taking place. And, of course, it's under the Trump administration, but they've basically tied his hands to where he can't do anything. And meanwhile, they have got all of these people that are coming across the border, and they're supposed to have catch and release, but they're having to release them. It was in February that they had something like 75,000 that they had detained, and most of them will end up just leaving that detainment into America. Well, and that was just for 1 month.
Rita, you listen, I'm sure, on Tuesdays when Frosty Woldridge is on here. And for years, for years and years, Frosty's been on this program. And I've kept notes on all the different programs that he's been on, talking about the numbers of illegals coming into this country, etc. And he was spot on. I did some research back 5 years ago when he was on the program, and he said that within 5 years hence into the future, meaning now, that we would be seeing influx of illegals to the point where it would be close to 1 million per year. Well, the estimates came out this year, and they have estimated that we're going to have over 700,000 this year alone, and next year maybe even more, to the point of 1.5 to 1.8 million people coming in illegally. We can't absorb this foolishness.
Well, we really can't, and, it comes back to the thing where you've got these employers that are saying, well, we really need to have those people here because we are so short on American workers. And if that were the case, American workers would be able to walk into an establishment and say, I want this much money, and the Americans would say, okay, I'll pay it because there's nobody else to do it. And that's not happening, and so these guys come in and they just start driving wages back down. And that's why people's wages aren't going up. That's why it's costing us more for all of and we will pay more. You might not be paying more for taxes right now, but the welfare system will totally be broke in just a mess.
Are we still on the air wheels? I've had a disconnection. Hello? Hello?
Let me go ahead and...
I got cut off. Put me on, thanks.
Hello?
Yeah, Rita, I'm sorry. Evidently, we had a power bump earlier this morning, and we were off for about an hour and a half, and I just had another little bump here a minute ago, and it cut my phone off, my line. I apologize. You were spot on what you said. I want to do a weather forecast, and when I come back, I want to talk to you about some of the absolute scaremongers that really are bothering me, that are running for the possibility on the Democratic ticket to be president. Some of these people, I think, should be almost locked up. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Right now, I want to have Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. We talked to Leiden a few minutes ago. He was doing the chamber report. And I want you to remember that they are the professionals. They are the best at providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area, and they have for well over 50 years. The best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, help you with your business, whether you're expanding or adding on more employees, retirement planning, all of this and more with Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Nice spring-like weather for today, and it looks like for the rest of the week and on into the weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Sunny skies is what we're expecting for today. Slightly breezy, winds out of the west at about 8 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 39. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 23. Tomorrow, as we get ready for the weekend, sunny skies, expecting a high of 44. Nice and clear for tomorrow night with a low of 26. By Saturday, sunny and 50, and as we take a sneak peek towards the beginning of the week on Monday, sunny skies, high close to 56. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb.
Thank you very much, Gina. And again, our reminders to you. They are busy. They are the best. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Accounting services that can and will help you. Get a hold of them today with offices in Burley and Rupert. Rita, when you look, honestly, at the faces and list of people that are trying to get the Democratic nod for the presidency, and we're talking about some that really shouldn't be in anything as far as a political race, but then you listen to the Kamala Harrises, you listen to the Kirsten Gillibrands, you listen to the Elizabeth Warrens, and now you listen also to a newcomer, Beto O'Rourke. And I got to tell you, I'm really afraid of their appealing to the millennials and they're appealing to those that want everything given to them free. I'm concerned about this next election because any one of a number of people could absolutely put this country into a tailspin.
Well, they definitely can, and if we actually do elect a Democrat on this next go-round, it will probably be the last time that they've ever seen a Republican president because the Democrats have gone into socialism mode. They're not Democrats. It used to be that the Democrats just had a little different idea, but they were all true Americans. They loved their country. They wanted it to succeed, and they were red, white, and blue just like anybody else, and I mean, that was your grandmother's party, the Democrat Party, and it's not the Democrat Party anymore. It's just the socialism party. And as I was reminded when I was listening to an in-depth report about communism the other day, that socialism is where it starts, and the end game of socialism is communism. And that's where Venezuela is right now, and people are literally starving to death. And nobody's doing anything or saying anything about it. I mean, it doesn't even make the news. And so you can tell that the Democrats don't really care about it because that's a socialist country. And so they promote anything that's socialist. And, oh, yeah, that's really good. Well, you know, what about what's going on? There's people in this day and age that are literally starving to death like 50 and 60 and 70 years ago in the countries over in Europe and China and places like that.
Rita, I don't understand, and you got to help me on this a little bit, that in this age of technocracy and technology, where a videotape or a news video can be seen around the world in a matter of split seconds, what is there that the Democrats and the left don't understand about the absolute heinous aspects of socialism, communism, etc., that they would even want to think about trying to install that in this country? I don't understand how they can be that stupid.
It's all about control. They don't feel like that this needs to be a republic where we have freedom and free trade and capitalism and those kinds of things that help us retain freedom and liberty. They want to be the ones in charge. They need us. We can do whatever they need and give them everything, and they can beg us for it, and as long as we're in charge, that's all. And they just don't care. It's really sad.
We have a caller with a question, and caller, I'm going to ask you, please, I've only got 3 minutes left. Make it quick. Thank you.
Well, you know, if you think about this, the Mini-Cassia area might be the most informed area. One, I'm not saying that there isn't others in the entire country. And you say, well, what do we got to do to get people to wise up, to care, to get off their phone? They're not studying U.S. history and their scriptures on these phones. They're not studying anything. And you see, it's such a shame because you can't tell people wisdom when they're fools. And we're just surrounded by them. And anybody that believes Bernie Sanders or Ocasio-Cortez is a fool. I'll hang up. Thanks.
And respond to the caller if you would, please, Rita.
No, I think he's absolutely right. However, I would say, okay, if you need to be on your phone, start passing along history information and information that's stuff that they can learn from. That's one of the very best ways to make information known is the social media, and if they're so glued to it that they have to spend all their time doing it, pull up the history and the information and start passing some of that along.
I couldn't agree more. I wanted to also ask you quickly, we were talking earlier this morning about the senators, and they're out this morning. There's many of the Republican senators, they said, like Mike Lee and Rand Paul, Murkowski, and others, that are going to jump ranks and join the Democrats in defeating Donald Trump's border emergency. This just adds to my hatred and my vile attitude towards the Republican Party being spineless.
Well, absolutely it is, and they're using the excuse that he can't do it legally. It's in the Constitution. He most certainly can.
Well, wait a minute. Rita, you're a history buff. It's been done 60 times before.
Oh, absolutely, and that's why he can do what he needs to do there, and it is not unconstitutional. They're just using that as an excuse, and it just tells me that their excuse is pretty flimsy.
How in the world? This is the problem with education today, and I'm just going to be blunt. Our kids are not learning about how great this country is. Our kids are not learning the values of our Constitution. Our kids are not learning the values of our government. And that's why you get these nincompoops that eventually grow up and become senators and congressmen, and they're dumber than a rock, and they're saying, well, they can't do that. It's in the Constitution, for Pete's sakes.
Well, it absolutely is, and this is the sad part, because if they would learn history, and one of the things that really piqued me about history was when I started learning about those backroom meetings when they were saying, you know what, we can't take this anymore. We can't take the tyranny of the king, and this is what we need to do, and they started listing all of their grievances and everything. That really piqued my interest, and then when you see the amazing things that they did to try to bring freedom and liberty and be against tyranny, it's kind of like, how could you not be for that and say, you know what, I want to join ranks with those people?
And really, everybody might say, oh, we've got such a wonderful group of senators and congressmen that represent our state back there. Wait a minute. I dare you to tell me that you've heard it or seen anything in print or on the media regarding Mike Simpson condemning the two women that have caused all the trouble in Congress with their anti-Semitism remarks. Tell me what you've read and seen. I'd like to know about it.
I think Mike Simpson is asleep. He has not made a single peep since this all started happening. And of course, they're all big buds in the Congress together. We can't criticize or anything unless it's somebody like Stephen King who says something that, that might bring a little bit of shame towards us.
Yeah, absolutely. I could go on and on, but the clock is telling me no, you won't. I've got to run. Rita, thank you. God bless and have a wonderful week. Thank you so much.
Okay, you too. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Rita Ramsey, always welcome on our program on Thursdays. Look forward to it. Oh, man. I am so hungry right now this morning. I'll tell you what, I am hungry and starving to death. Oh, you know where I'm going. I'm going to talk a little bit about the AC Drive-In at 601 East Main in Burley. Mint Oreo shakes for St. Patrick's Day. Oh, they are so good. Now, think about having a mint Oreo shake with maybe a famous Farmer Brown burger and fries in the sauce. Woo! Sit back and relax. That's great eating. From AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. Let's move over to Taco Bandito at 2301 Overland in Burley. A great place to get together with your friends for a morning coffee and maybe a breakfast burrito. Scrambled eggs, bacon, sausage, cheese, onions, tomatoes, sauce on a tortilla shell. Whoa! Hold on to your Tony Lamas. That is good food at Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. Moving over to Burgers, etc. Two locations to serve you at 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 Overland in Burley. They've got a hamburger combo, only $3.99 after 3 p.m. Oh, buddy. And Huckleberry Shakes. You're going to love it. And don't forget halibut, shrimp, and fish sandwiches. All kinds of great people at Burgers, etc. in Rupert and Burley. Let's not forget Steve Steve-O's. Great food the way you love it. 290 South, 600 west of Heyburn. They've got the delicious buffalo burgers, and they've got that cheesy broccoli spud. I love that. And cupcakes, they got a different flavor every week. And really, really nice people serving you that want you to enjoy all the great food on the menu at Steve-O's, 290 South, 600 west of Heyburn. And those are just a few great places to go when you're hungry and starving to death. And I am. Another reminder, I got to get this in. The bingoers are going to nail me to a tree if I don't say this again. They're going to have bingo tomorrow night at the Rupert Senior Center. Yes, the doors open at 5:30. Yes, all the bingoers will be there with all their equipment and everything, and their markers and their papers and their pens. And the early bird games start at 6:45, and all the games then start at 7 p.m. We're going to take a little break. Be right back in about 7 minutes. Don't go away. And a good morning and welcome back to Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell. Good morning to you, your family, your office staff, all of you out there in Radio Land. Good morning. And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you right now with a big spring tire sale. You can save a lot of money for your safe driving tires. Stop in and see them today, any one of the 7 locations. And, of course, don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And they are helping you get back to being you. I want to remind you, too, I'm really, really happy to have these folks on my program. And I promised I would get back in there to see him again next week, and that's Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Really a neat business for you to get to know. And they've got all the complete sound systems and the car stereos and the speakers. And if you're getting a little bit of money back on your hard-earned income as far as a tax refund, why don't you go on in there and treat yourself? They've got all your electronic needs right there at Patterson's, 421 East Main in Burley. Like I said, all the TVs, the Samsung, Sony, and Toshiba, and they've got home theater systems and video surveillance cameras, all of this and more at Patterson's, 421 East Main in Burley, and they're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Stop in and see them today. Folks, in just a moment, we're going to have our guest on for our Cassia County School Days. And I want to remind you that Cassia County School Days brought to you, as they have been for a couple of years now, by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. They've got all kinds of neat and unique birthday gifts and presents, and they've got all the clothing for the wee ones, and they've got clothing for the bigger people, too. Stop in and check it out. All the coats and everything else, and they've got furniture, and of course the games and puzzles and toys, and the Cherokee scrubs, a lot for the whole family at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley, and they bring you Cassia County School Days. Right now, let's check with Wheels and see if we have Superintendent of Schools Dr. James Shank on the phone.
Yes, sir, we do.
Thank you, Wheels. Appreciate it. Dr. Shank, I can imagine on a sun-filled morning, even though it's a nice day, you still feel a little bit down in the dumps over what happened on Tuesday.
Well, we're disappointed. I wouldn't say I'm down in the dumps, but we're disappointed, and we recognize that the voters of Cassia County have spoken and have told us that a bond at this time is not something that they feel is something they would want.
Okay, now I'm going to ask Wheels at the station to turn you up a little bit when you're talking. It was rejected by the voters in Cassia County, and I'm going to say the numbers. Tell me if I'm wrong. I think it was at 54.1%, and you needed a 66.6%. What does that tell you going forward as far as better advertising on what you want?
Well, yeah, the campaign in itself, I think, was well done. I think the word got out. We had a lot of support in terms of the people working on the campaign. As far as some of the more specific detail on the actual items within the bond, we'll still have to gather some of that information. I would say on the number of voters we had, according to unofficial results, we had 1,675 in favor and 1,432 not in favor, which represents about a third of the registered voters in the county.
Were you surprised, if that's a good word, that the numbers seem to be down in all the elections at various school districts? It just didn't seem to be the turnout for these bond issues.
Yeah, bonds are tough for a lot of school districts. We're certainly not alone in that particular group, and people wanting to vote yes to indebt the district in their schools is sometimes difficult for people to do. I noticed that the vast majority of all of the levies that were proposed during this election, mostly all passed. I think there might have been one that didn't, and if my memory serves, but the bonds struggled.
Dr. Shank, would you pinpoint a certain aspect of the bond as to people being against it? What were the main reasons, do you think?
Well, the things that I heard going into the bond was, it's a big number. And we recognize that. $56.7 million is a lot. I understand that, and so that's going to impact people's taxes. It's an item where taxes are going to go up. And so I think that in itself is a piece. In the consolidated district, we're hitting multiple municipalities. Sometimes one municipality will have something that another may feel like, why are they asking for that? And we have to go about and answer those questions. But those are things that we work through.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air, please.
Zeb, yesterday I was talking to several people, and they say the reason this thing is school bond didn't go was because of the $15 million debacle of a couple of years ago, plus they want classrooms built instead of gymnasiums.
All right, well, I'll
let the superintendent address that.
Very good, sir. Thank you. Dr. Shank, go ahead and address that question and issue, please.
Well, that's two parts. The first is from years back, the $15 million that was the problem is something that I certainly can understand in the past. I think at times when mistakes are made, and I understand that's a big mistake, is that we own that mistake and we have to do better and move forward. Part of that is that the facility needs in the district have not changed. They're still there, even though we've taken great steps to make the monies work that we received in the past, and I think there's a good track record of making that work. But we still have those needs. And the second piece is, yes, there is growth in classrooms that are needed, understood. And however, if you look at, for instance, like Burley Junior High School, where we have kids going over to CSI to use their gym, there's a need for a gym there. There's a need for gymnasium space, and again, when we are in a multi-municipality district, sometimes one person's need may appear in another municipality as a want.
Dr. Shank, I'm sitting here listening to all these people call me during the program in the days leading up to the vote. And I had a lady call me the day before on this past Monday, and she was highly critical of voting for the bond issue. And when I had her on the air, I kept asking her questions about why, and she said, well, because it's a waste of money, and they don't know how to control their money and their wastage. And I asked her if she had gone to the meetings to voice her opinion, and she said, yes, I have, but nobody paid any attention to me or gave me any concrete answers. I find that hard to believe. Address that, if you would, because I know there's more people that feel her way than just her alone.
I would say that, we did, I'd have to go, I guess, count, but it's in the dozens of meetings that we had or opportunities were given to people in various forms to ask questions. And depending on what meeting you went to, how many came is certainly not a great number in the ones that we did in public. On Facebook, we had a good number of people attend meetings Facebook Live, and we addressed those questions that were there. If a person emailed or called or something, we try and attempt to answer the question, but sometimes that answer isn't what people are hoping for. And so they'll say, well, they didn't answer my question. So, there's some of that. I recognize it. If people don't feel like that the information was good enough, that's something that we need to do better at. There's no doubt about it.
I would imagine, and this is true, I think, in any school district that had a bond levy fail, I would imagine you and the school board probably feel like a football team where it's fourth down, you got to punt, but then you looked and somebody stole the football.
Well, we do our best.
Well, no, but the point I want you to elaborate on, I know you do your best, but what I'm saying is you've still got the problems. I mean, you've still got the overcrowding. You've still got the reparations that need to be done. So what do? I mean, you're back at square one.
Sure, and that's a great question, and we'll be asking that on at our next board meeting on the 21st. And so you have to look at the resources that you have available. Right now, this is the second time the voters have rejected a bond proposal. That's something that's significant. We know that we have growth going in, and we have an opportunity at this point, I guess, to study and look at, for instance, one example might be, we'll take a hard look at boundaries, where kids go to school, is there an opportunity here, and these sorts of things. But those needs are still there, and we'll do the best we can to try to figure it out. But, when you have aging facilities, HVAC systems, roofs, all of these things, they don't go away. They have to be attended to, and I think everybody understands that those things don't come free.
Well, one of the things I was curious about, Dr. Shank, is when I had these calls come in on my radio program and they were very vocal with their points of interest against the bond, I wonder, is there some way that you and the school board can incorporate more public input to have them form their own education and knowledge circles so that maybe they can help spread that information in their respective communities?
Yeah, we can keep the effort up as those, when we ask those questions internally. What's next? Those are open meetings. People can come to a meeting and listen as the board talks about what is it that we need to do, and they can provide input. We're certainly available. I would certainly ask people to give that opinion.
We have another caller with a question. Caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air.
Yeah, when you get your tax money from the county, does it come in all at once or just as they get it?
In a bond issue, if it
no,
were to...
but I mean just on other bonds. And in general, do you get it all at once or as the county gets it? Or I'm just... the ones that have already been passed, money that comes in off of them...
Sure. When the taxes are collected, the county issues it to us.
So it's like 6 months or a year?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And with the growth, you got to be getting more tax dollars on top of it. I think it'd be important to put the total out there so year to year people know kind of what you're getting to.
Whenever we pass a budget, and we do this annually, all those revenues are known. That's something that we do put out.
Okay.
All right, caller. Thank you very much. Well, Dr. Shank, in the time remaining this morning, I kind of wanted you to sum up where you are right now and where you hope to be maybe 6 months to a year from now. And what about a repeat challenge to the community again to lay this out for their perusal one more time?
Yeah, where we sit now is we're gathering data. Then we'll present it to the board on the 21st and lay out some things that our recommendations on how to act. Either way, if the bond would have passed, or where we're at today, where it didn't, we would still have another year before we actually would have started construction. So we have some time, and whether or not the board determines to go out again for another bond, that's really something that will have to be asked.
Now,
I can't tell you what their disposition will be on that.
Absolutely. Now, each school within your district, I would imagine that they're going to sit down as an entity and see if they can't rearrange some of their priorities and make some of this stuff work, I would assume.
Oh, yeah, we'll all have to go to the drawing board, if you will, to figure it out.
Well, anything else you want to add to the program this morning?
Oh, sure. Despite the outcome of the bond, we want to make sure that people know that we appreciate their efforts in going out to vote. Elections teach us a lot of things, and we can't move forward without that opportunity. So I do appreciate it.
We got one more call. It just came in. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead quickly. Caller, go quickly, please.
I'm talking.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry you couldn't hear me. I'd like to ask the superintendent if he can release the number of kids in the schools that are either on reduced lunch or on free lunches. Maybe the percentage of the kids throughout the district.
I don't have that number at my fingertips right now, but that's certainly something that's available. You could call into the district, and we could get it for you.
Okay. Well, I had done that before and got a little bit of a runaround.
Send me an email or call me directly, and I'll get it to you.
Okay, I appreciate that. I think maybe that we're just not looking maybe at the income of the people who live in this area and taking that into consideration as much as we need to. There's like 10% of the population is over 65 and on fixed income. And according to the 2010 census, they said 37% of Cassia County lives below poverty level. So that's really hard for those people to have to come up with extra money for schools, even if every single thing is really important. And I'm a proponent of schools. I'm a proponent of education. I just think we need to be mindful of all the people that we're asking to spend their money.
You make a great point.
Appreciate your work.
Oh, thank you.
Ma'am, thank you. If the lady's still listening, thank you very much for your call. Dr. Shank, I am out of time, and if people have questions, is there a number they can direct those questions to?
I just have them call the school district office. That's probably the best, and 678-6000.
All right, sir. I do appreciate your coming on the program this morning. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. See you,
take care. Dr. James Shank, Superintendent of Schools for Cassia County. And, of course, this is on Cassia County School Days, brought to you by our friends at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see these great people today. Holy moly, we're running late. And I think Old Wheels at the station has got our next guest ready to go for us. And we're going to talk water. We're going to talk irrigation. We're going to talk to one of the top pros, and that's Jake over at Rain for Rent. Good morning, Jake. How are you?
Give me one moment.
I knew after that build-up you wouldn't have them ready. Okay, those things happen sometimes technically with the phone, and we just started not too many weeks ago with our friends at Rain for Rent, and we wanted to get Jake on the air and talk to him a little bit about the business, what he does, and all the great people that work for him. Have you got him, Wheels?
Yes, sir, I do.
I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said a moment ago, we're going to visit with Rain for Rent and Jake Spalding, and he's the head man over there with a great dedicated sales staff. Jake, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Zeb?
I would imagine right now you are running in circles trying to get everything done for spring. Tell us exactly what's going on at Rain for Rent.
We're kind of waiting on the weather to start cooperating, but yeah, we're running and gunning, so to speak.
Well, tell us a little bit about what you do during the winter months. I mean, do you sit down and design how the different irrigation systems are going to work, or give us a little background on that?
So, yeah, typically during the winter, we spend a lot of the time just out talking to customers and finding out their needs, and we prepare a plan so that when the weather lines out, we can get out in the field and make it all happen.
Well, now, Jake, as far as Rain for Rent is concerned, and there's a lot of irrigation companies, why should people and farmers pick up the phone and make a time to come see you?
I think we have a dedicated staff, and every one of us cares very much about the customer. We want the customer to be successful, and if we can help the customer become successful, that makes us successful.
Jake, there's so many changes, and this is something that blows my mind. Irrigation is not just set in a siphon tube anymore, I'll tell you that. Innovative changes. Does a lot of this equipment change every year?
It has its changes yearly, but I'd say about 10 years ago they started to come out with some pretty wild things, and they just kind of manipulate them and change them to make it better every year. And the technology nowadays is, I don't know where it's going, but it's amazing what we have right now.
Well, explain what you do have. I know that you're a Reinke diamond dealer. Take it from there and tell the farmers and everybody in the audience what you have to provide to them.
So as far as Reinke systems go, for the farmers, we have the lightest weight pivot out there, and a lot of people assume that means it's not as strong, but it's a stronger, lighter weight pivot that we hope that at the end of the season the pivot tracks are less. As far as telemetry type deals, a monitoring system that the farmer can use his phone to monitor what's going on, to change the pivot, change settings, and things like that. We have a 10-year, 16,000-hour warranty on our gearboxes.
Okay.
And I can't really think of anything else right off the top of my head right now.
What about your sales staff? Now, I would imagine that the folks that work for you have to really have their ducks in a row and be very educated on how the equipment works. Brag a little bit about your sales staff.
Absolutely. Luckily, our sales staff knows way more than I do. And I have a salesman here that's been with this company for 21 years and selling pivots for 40 years. And the knowledge that he has is just amazing. And I have some up-and-coming younger salesmen, and they're very educated and smart, and they get to hang out with a guy that's been in this industry for 40 years.
All right. Now, I want to talk quickly about the industry's longest warranty. What does that mean?
So on the warranty side, we have a V-ring seal where the pipe bolt together. That's got a 25-year warranty on it. Our structural failure against corrosion is 20 years. Our drivetrain, like I said earlier, is a 10-year, 16,000-hour warranty. And then our center drives are 8 years, 8,000 hours.
Mm-hmm. Now, for those that are listening and they're not aware of where you are or what your office hours are, why don't you share that with us quickly?
So we're located in Paul, Idaho, and our office hours are 8 to 5 right now, and as we get busier, we'll switch it to 7:30 to 6.
Okay. And the main number people can call you?
208-438-5065.
Now, I'm going to ask you one last question. This didn't hurt at all, did it?
Not a bit.
Okay. Jake, God bless you, man, over at Rain for Rent. Thanks for taking the time to be on the program.
You betcha. Have a good one.
All right, sir. Good folks over there. Jake Spalding and the crew at Rain for Rent. 134 South, 600 West, right there in Paul. 8 to 5, their hours. And, of course, 438-5065. Okay, what have we got coming up? I am really, really excited about our next guest, and I hope all goes well. Getting him on the air this morning, and that's David Horowitz. You've heard a lot about him. And I'm anxious to put him on the program. He's a noted conservative commentator and New York Times best-selling author of the book called Radical Son. And he's going to be coming up next after our little break at the bottom of the hour. And then Monday, don't forget, we've got quite a few great big heavy hitters, including the legislative update. And I think on Monday we're going to have Speaker of the House Scott Bedke coming on. So that's all going to be at next Monday the 18th. Right now, I'm going to send it back over to Wheels. It's all yours, buddy.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very, very much for being here and tuning back in for our last half hour, Zeb at the Ranch on a Thursday. And I got to tell you that when I had the opportunity to book this man on my program and talk about his new book, I was very excited because I'm very passionate about what's going on in this country with what I call a severe frontal attack on Christianity. And this man wrote the book, Dark Agenda, The War to Destroy Christian America by David Horowitz. David, good morning, sir. How are you?
Sir, well, I was trying to get him on, and I called the number that you had given me, but the gentleman told me I had the wrong number, and so I'm not exactly sure.
Oh, my goodness. Let me repeat that number back to me that you have, please, quickly, Wheels.
Okay, I have 310
Yes.
922 7388.
80, I told you.
Okay.
Hurry, quickly.
Okay, will do.
We're going now to hopefully get a redial and get him on the air this morning, and I apologize for that. And while we're waiting, I guess we could take a couple of the phone calls. That would be up to you at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. The weather is going to transition, they say, and start to finally get out of the cold, windy, snowy doldrums, and maybe we'll have some temperatures and sunshine getting up into the 50s and possibly by the first of the week up into the low 60s. So we're maybe going to inch a little bit closer to spring, which next Wednesday the 20th is officially the first day of spring. Wheels, do we have our guest on the phone?
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm not getting anything still, though.
Well, keep trying that number. While we're waiting, give me a call, 436-2244. And, Deanna, if you come in, we'll have a whole bunch of people trying to run him down and find out where he is. And we'll do our best to get him on the air. In the meantime, in the interim, give me a call, please, at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A friend of this program sent me a note here about 5-6 days ago that, here, Deanna, if you'd take that and try to run him down, I'd sure appreciate it, that the Board of Animal Service Commissioners in Los Angeles, California, they're trying to recommend to the Los Angeles City Council to place a ban on all rodeos and events such as professional bull riders. And there's also a bill in the state legislature in California that is also very similar. And I read this when this gentleman sent this to me, and I thought, my goodness sakes, they've got all the animal rights activists behind this bill, and they're calling this a great thing for California if it goes through. Let me tell you the devastating effects it would have on the state of California financially. When you think of Salinas, known as the California Rodeo, that's how they pronounce it in the old Spanish twist. You think about other rodeos, whether it's Red Bluff, whether it's Sacramento, San Francisco, whether it's Oakdale, whether it is Clovis, California, all of those rodeos in California, they have huge rodeos in California that are huge monetary events for the entire area. And now this bill would come in and absolutely try to devastate and stop all the rodeos in the state of California. And little by little, inch by inch, that same kind of heinous activity would probably start in other states across the United States. Again, being sponsored by PETA and other organizations. Watch out. Big money is behind trying to stop these events. Your thoughts, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let me know what you thought. He's waiting?
He's waiting for the phone call. So, David...
Wheels, did you try calling again or not?
Yeah,
He's waiting for your phone call right now. All right, let's get him on the air and see if he's there. Evidently, there was some kind of a slip-up with the dialing of the number, etc. And let me know, Wheels, quickly. Do you have him?
Yes, sir.
All right. Evidently, a little miscommunication on our numbers. We've got everything straightened out. And again, I'll give him the opening that I gave just a moment ago. I'm very happy to have this man on my program, a conservative commentator and New York Times best-selling author. And he's got a book that absolutely, when I heard about it, I want to read it, I want to have it in my possession, and I want to learn from it. It's called Dark Agenda: The War to Destroy Christian America. David Horowitz, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Fine.
David, first and foremost, in this day and age, I'm going to say right up front, I'm a Christian and I'm proud of it, and I will go toe-to-toe with anybody that wants to go against my philosophy and my feelings. Why did you write this book? Did you really feel a need that Christianity is under attack?
Oh, absolutely. But the first thing that moved me is the understanding that America, everything that we hold dear in terms of principles in America, equality, inclusion, pluralism, diversity, every one of those is a Christian principle. And in fact, this country was created by Protestant Christians and could only have been created by Protestants. 98% of the settlers who settled in America and then created the United States of America were Protestant Christians. And the doctrine of the Reformation, of the Protestant Reformation, which informs all our laws, is the priesthood of all believers. Until the Reformation, you couldn't get into heaven without going through the Catholic Church, which would build itself as the true church. And its priesthood. So the priesthood of all believers is a revolutionary doctrine that says that every human being created by God faces God one-on-one without the intermediary of an established church or government. And when I also understood you can't have inalienable rights that can't be taken away unless there's a God who gave them. If government gives you the rights, government can take them away. So even though I was an agnostic, I understood that my freedoms are dependent on people who believe in God or in the belief in God and respect. If you can't, if you don't have a religious faith, you have to respect the religious faith that created this country if you enjoy those freedoms. And starting in the 60s, in 1962, the Supreme Court banned prayer in the schools. For 170 years, there had been prayer in the schools. You talk about a precedent, talk about stare decisis. Only fraud could have said that prayer in the schools was unconstitutional. But the Supreme Court did say that. There was one dissenter, Father Stewart, who pointed out the hypocrisy of the other justices because they always open the Supreme Court with an invocation. God save our country and this honorable court, which isn't so honorable when you look at it.
Absolutely.
But the effect of that was to drive religion out of the public schools so that today's school children cannot be taught that the Pilgrims were Christians. They can be taught the first Thanksgiving, but they can't be told who the Thanksgiving was to because it was God. And so we've robbed generations of the knowledge of the foundations of the freedoms they had. And those freedoms are under assault now from the Democratic Party, which has abandoned America's founding principles.
Mr. Horowitz.
Took God out of the DNC platform some years ago.
Let me jump in and ask a question here. David, let me ask you a question here real quick on various points that you just made. This agenda has been going on for quite some time in America, and the Democratic Party has picked up on it, and it seems like they are the anti-God, anti-Christian party. How do we turn this thing around? It's our fault that we let them have this kind of power because we've been naive and we haven't spoken out. How do we turn this around?
Well, Christians were, particularly evangelicals, were reluctant to get involved in politics, the politics of this world. But if you don't defend your freedom, your religious, freedom of conscience and religious liberty, which, by the way, are the first freedoms in the First Amendment, the first freedoms in the Constitution for good reason. If you don't defend them, you're going to lose them, and there won't be any more churches, and the persecutions will get really bloody. That's the reality. It was Roe v. Wade, an atrocity that left-wing lawyers from Planned Parenthood, created a non-existent right in the Constitution of privacy. As Rehnquist said in his dissent, there's nothing private about an abortion. And there is no right to privacy in the Constitution. And that was a direct assault on Christian communities in America. You believe in the sanctity of this individual soul, you can't really be for abortions.
Right.
That created the religious right, and the religious right then elected Reagan and then Trump. And so the war that we have a civil war in this country between a party that is anti-American, I'm talking about the Democratic Party, racist and anti-religious and pro-abortion, and a party led by evangelical Christians that is patriotic, and a president who may not be a model Christian in his life, but is defending the values that make a Christian America possible.
Absolutely. David, we have a caller with a question for you, and I'm going to let the caller break in quickly. Go ahead, caller, please.
Well, the very foundation of America, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, are all from this Bible. And so yes, we are a Christian nation. We're formed on Christian principles. And when we as good people, all it takes for evil to flourish is for good men to do nothing. And when we back off from the distastefulness of politics, we create a void. The void is filled by evil. We, as good men, have to fight back. And not dirtily, but doing it right. But we can't act like it's somebody else's job. Thank you. Right.
Go ahead, David, please.
Right. In my book, Dark Agenda, The War to Destroy Christian America, there's a passage where I describe the opening of the Visitors Center in the United States Capitol, which happened during the Bush administration. The Visitors Center is a kind of monument and museum towards the American government. And they have a replica of the Constitution. When it opened, they had this replica of the Constitution, and where the signers signed the Constitution, over their signatures it said, "In the year of our Lord, 1787." And they took that out, and they took out every reference to God. And that was under the Bush administration. And, when they knocked prayer, or banned prayer in the public schools, Kennedy, he defended the decision and said, well, we'll pray in our homes. But that's a retreat. This is a war. What people don't understand is that the left wants to destroy Christianity because Christianity is opposed in its very essence to the left.
David, David, let me ask you a question right there, because I'm running out of time and I want you to answer this very eloquently like you probably have in your book. I lay a lot of the blame today on a lack of will by the preachers and the teachers at various congregations and the ministers. I don't think they're standing up at the pulpit and really telling the public what's going on. Do you agree or disagree with me?
That's exactly right. Look, Obama allowed 200,000 or 300,000 Christians in Iraq and Syria to be slaughtered. The Iraq Christian community was the oldest Christian community in the world. The temple in Mosul, which was conquered by ISIS, had held continuous sermons every Sunday since the time of St. Paul. It's all gone. It was inside. And Obama did nothing. And I was shocked that the Christian community didn't rise up over this in protest. But they didn't. So you're absolutely right. Everybody is sort of going along to get along. And that's disastrous in this atmosphere. They're killing now babies that have been born, legalizing the murder of born babies. They want to destroy the Electoral College, which is part of the checks and balances system. The Democrats are actually going in, want to do away with the Senate. They want to establish what the founders absolutely did not want to establish, which is a one-man, one-vote democracy. Because the founders, being Christians, understood that we are the problem, that human beings have the capacity for evil as well as good. And therefore there have to be checks and balances on our government, because the people in the government are the same people causing the problems, except they have more power. So it's completely anti-Christian to destroy the Electoral College, to destroy the Senate. Anyway, it's a war. People have to understand that we're in a war.
David,
in this country, and we have to win it.
David, at the end of your book, when people close the cover and have read the last chapter, what's the number one thing you hope and pray that they will take away from the book and possibly put into action?
Well, actually, there are three things. They need to understand what America is built on, what our freedoms are built on. And the first freedom is freedom of conscience. And then religious people have to get into the battle. You can't turn your backs on this and just look to the next world. To me, it's very hard to understand. Christians have, missionaries half their lives there trying to convert people. If they're free to preach in this country, in our country, it's all over. You won't have foreign missionaries. You won't have domestic churches, and they mean business. I can't say that enough. To have this Ilhan Omar, a congresswoman who's a terrorist. She gives fundraisers for Hamas. She gave one this spring. She's a Jew hater. She's an America hater. And the Democratic Party is in full-throated defense of her. It's unbelievable.
I agree.
That's how far gone we are.
David, where can people find your book? I've only got a minute left. Please tell us how they can find and read your book.
Dark Agenda at Amazon.com. It's available there. I have a website. My Freedom Center has a daily magazine called FrontPageMagazine.com. You can get it at that website or at FrontPageMag.com.
New York Times. And I want to just say how much I appreciate you taking the time. I'm up against the clock right now, but I want to remind everybody, New York Times best-selling author David Horowitz with an excellent book. Get it, read it, understand it, and go to action. Dark Agenda, The War to Destroy Christian America. David, thank you so much. Please come back.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. And if invited, I will come back.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I feel blessed to have him on the program, and I personally am going to run in tomorrow and get this book. I have said for a long time that Christianity is under attack. It's under siege. A lot of people have poo-pooed this and said, oh, well, it's nothing. It's not that serious. Yes, it is. And it's getting worse every day. And all the ministers in the audience, none of them called or even made a comment with me or even asked to come on my program. None. I find that disgusting. And I thank David Horowitz for coming on our program and really laying it out there, the dark agenda, the war to destroy Christian America. Right now, let's get a weather forecast on, and the weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to call, 324-7657. And don't forget they've got all the delicious meats. Caller, I'll be with you in a minute. Stand by. And great meats like marinated pork ribs and tri-tips. And, oh, my goodness, all the different bacons and sausages and bratwurst. It's all there at Scarrows Meats. And, of course, they're located, like I said, 331 North Road, Jerome, number 324-7657. Quickly, and then we'll take the call. Here's Gina with the weather.
Nice spring-like weather for today, and it looks like for the rest of the week and on into the weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Sunny skies is what we're expecting for today. Slightly breezy, winds out of the west at about 8 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 39. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 23. Tomorrow, as we get ready for the weekend, sunny skies, expecting a high of 44. Nice and clear for tomorrow night with a low of 26. By Saturday, sunny and 50, and as we take a sneak peek towards the beginning of the week on Monday, sunny skies, high close to 56. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at 3.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you, Gina. Sounds good. Sounds better. Don't forget Scarrows Meats in Jerome, and they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
You know, Zeb,
Speak up. Caller, I'm going to ask you to speak up, please.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, it's weak, but I can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, I got to get a new phone. My brother lives in Henderson, Nevada, and he wanted to go to church, and he went to a church, and he said the music was so loud, it was like a rock concert, and they just decided they would leave. And they had trouble finding any kind of a church that seemed to be traditional. And he says it's all entertainment. And as they were leaving, somebody asked him, usher or whatever, wanted to know why they were leaving, and he says, well, I don't feel the spirit. It's too loud. Why do you have to do this? And he says, this is the only way we can get the kids to stay. Well, the kids aren't learning about, being a Christian. They're not learning about Christ being their Savior and the Spirit who will help to guide, direct, protect them. They're not learning anything. It's just entertainment and all these preachers. I'm not saying all of them, but it's about keeping up the numbers and keeping the offering plate full. And you say, well, when do we actually teach our kids about what your and my mother taught us? And I don't know, Zeb.
Well, okay, let me jump in, buddy, because you've touched on something that's been a thorn under my saddle pad for a long time, and I'm just going to address it again. I've asked the Ministerial Association and representatives to come on this program. I've asked them about their sermons and why they're not helping the society and the community by developing sermons that talk about all the ills that are going on in our society. But no, I'm going to just lay it on the line, Randy. If you don't like what I say, tell me about it. I think they're cowards and don't want to address the problems.
Well, let's face it. Today's political, social scene is so crazy. And see, nowadays, if you say something that sounds old-fashioned, they accuse you of being anti-something. You're phobic. You're homo, whatever the phobic is.
Yeah, real fast. I got about 20 seconds.
Christian, because somebody's going to judge you.
Yeah.
Well, when you're being judged by people who don't know much, I wouldn't be offended by it too much. See, we cannot back off from the fight. And Christians don't want to get into the mess.
I agree with you. Randy,
You know, the crap hits the fan. Well, it's no fun.
Randy, I got to run. I'm out of time. Randy, listen to me, please, buddy. I don't want to cut you off, but I want you to continue this conversation Monday. Give me a call first hour because it's something that's very passionate and dear to me, but I got to run. Thank you, my dear friend. All right, sir. Hey, I got to run for this week, but I want to remind everybody, too, about a big spring tire sale. Oh, yeah, we're going to go through this. That you can save a lot of money on the best tires that you can put on your automobile, your car, your SUV, and save money. All the different sizes, all the different tread designs, everything at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with this big spring tire sale going on right now. Along with that, the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this, but the best of service to you. Stop in. Big spring tire sale at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run for the week. We always say the way things were, the way things ought to be, and the world needs more cowboys. We'll see you Monday at 8:06. God bless. Have a great weekend.